Imagine walking into a crowded room. You feel the weight of emotions before anyone speaks. Someone is anxious, another is angry, and you absorb it like a sponge. That is the gift of an empath, sensing what others cannot see. But here's the question Jung would want you to ask yourself. What if two people walk into that same room, both feeling everyone's emotions deeply, yet only one leaves the room lighter, while the other leaves it with invisible chains wrapped around everyone else? That's the line we are crossing today. Empath versus dark empath. At first glance, they look the same. Both listen closely. Both seem to care. Both can mirror your feelings so well that you think, finally, someone understands me. But one uses that gift to heal. The other uses it to bind. Here's a story. Imagine a friend who always checks in when you're upset. They call, they message, they sit with you. When they're around, you feel understood. That's the empath. Now imagine another friend who does the same. They listen, they comfort, they stay by your side. But later you notice something odd. You start to depend on them for every little thing. You second-guess your decisions. You can't move without their approval. That's the dark empath. Can you see it? The difference is subtle but powerful. The empath helps you rise on your own. The dark empath makes you believe you can't stand without them. Carl Jung warned us that what we don't make conscious will control us. For the empath, the unconscious danger is self-sacrifice until nothing remains. For the dark empath, it's control disguised as compassion. So let's test this together. Think of the last time you comforted someone. Did you leave them feeling more capable or more dependent? This is the first clue. Empaths absorb pain but release it like medicine. Dark empaths absorb pain but store it, keeping you tied to them. Empaths listen without needing to be thanked. Dark empaths secretly crave recognition, replaying in their mind how much you owe them. Here's another story. A child falls off their bike. The empath runs to pick them up, dusts them off, and says, "You're strong, you can ride again." The dark empath runs too, but says, "Don't ride without me, you'll get hurt again." One restores courage, the other plants fear. Now pause. Which one feels more familiar to you? Do you lift others with your sensitivity, or hold them close out of fear they might leave you? This is not about labeling yourself as good or bad. Jung's point was never that simple. He wanted us to see both sides clearly, because both live inside us. The question is which side you feed. And that's why people stay watching, because deep down you want to know, are you the empath or the dark empath? This video will give you the tools to spot it. But right now, block 1 is about awareness. Awareness that empathy itself is not safe or dangerous. It is neutral. It becomes light or shadow, depending on whether you use it to free others or to keep them close. By the end of this story, you will know the difference, and you'll know whether the way you love is lifting people or holding them down. So the question remains, when someone walks away from you, do they carry less weight, or do they carry yours along with theirs? Stay here, because the next part may reveal something you didn't want to admit to yourself. When you first meet an empath, there's something disarmingly gentle about them. They listen, really listen, in a way most people don't. Their eyes stay on you unblinking, as if they can feel the weight of your words before you even finish speaking. An empath absorbs the unspoken currents of a room, the sigh hidden behind a polite smile, the tightness in a friend's voice when they say, "I'm fine," the subtle tension that lingers in silence. It feels comforting, almost magnetic. You might think, this person understands me more than anyone else ever has. And often you'd be right. True empaths carry a gift that borders on the mystical. They can tune into what others feel, sometimes more deeply than the other person can themselves. Carl Jung described this kind of sensitivity as a heightened awareness of the unconscious, as if the empath is a translator for the parts of you that you cannot put into words. But here lies the paradox. Empathy is both a blessing and a burden. For every empath who uses their gift to heal, there is another who becomes consumed by it. Their boundaries blur. They lose themselves in other people's emotions, drowning in pain that is not their own. Jung often warned that the unconscious, left unexamined, will direct your life from the shadows. For the empath, this is especially dangerous. Without awareness, they risk becoming a sponge for every wound around them, carrying sadness, anxiety, even despair that doesn't belong to them. And because of this, the empath's kindness can sometimes look like weakness. They become overgivers, over-listeners, over-pleasers, drained until there's nothing left to give. Here's where the story begins to twist, because not everyone who appears empathetic is truly an empath. There exists another type, harder to spot, more complex, and infinitely more dangerous. The dark empath. Unlike the true empath, who is undone by feeling too much, the dark empath wears empathy like a mask. They too can sense emotions, they too can read a room with uncanny precision. But the difference lies in what they do with that knowledge. The empath uses it to heal. The dark empath uses it to control. Imagine someone who notices your deepest insecurities, not to comfort you, but to subtly tighten their grip over you. They might offer words that sound supportive, but are carefully chosen to keep you dependent. They might mirror your struggles, only to later turn them against you. Their smile disarms you, but behind it there is calculation. Carl Jung once observed that the greatest danger is not the shadow itself, but when we refuse to acknowledge it. The dark empath thrives in that refusal. They live half in light, half in shadow, appearing as a savior, while quietly feeding on the vulnerabilities of those around them. And so we arrive at the challenge of this video. Can you tell the difference? Can you spot the empath who bleeds for you versus the dark empath who studies you? Listen closely as we go deeper. The signs are subtle, often invisible at first glance. But by the end of this journey, You may discover not only how to recognize them in others, but also how to confront the shadows within yourself. At first, the presence of both an empath and a dark empath feels almost identical. They both seem to understand you better than anyone else. They nod at the right moments, mirror your emotions, and say words that make you feel seen. But here is the razor's edge: intent. The true empath connects with your struggles because they feel them as their own. They carry your burden, sometimes too heavily, as though it were stitched into their own soul. Their compassion may overwhelm them, but it is genuine. The dark empath, however, is not weighed down by what they see in you. Instead, they feel lighter. Why? Because each piece of your vulnerability becomes a string for them to pull. They learn quickly which tone makes you open up, which silence keeps you talking, which story you tell again and again because it carries your deepest wound. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. With an empath, the reaction is healing. With a dark empath, the reaction is corrosion." Think of the dark empath as an alchemist of emotions. They do not absorb feelings, they transform them into leverage. Your sadness becomes their opportunity for control. Your joy becomes something they can imitate to appear trustworthy. Your anger becomes a tool to turn against you when the moment is right. And the scariest part? They rarely reveal themselves quickly. The dark empath plays the long game. They appear safe, reliable, perhaps even fragile. They build rapport layer by layer, all while collecting the raw material of your heart. You won't even notice it happening because their mask is so convincing. This is why Jung warned that the shadow is not simply what is dark, but what is unseen. The danger of the dark empath is not that they roar with malice, but that they whisper with kindness. So how can you tell the difference? Look at what happens when the balance shifts. The empath, when overwhelmed, retreats quietly. They disappear not to punish you, but to regain strength. The dark empath, when challenged, punishes subtly. A cold silence, a hidden jab, a carefully placed guilt trip. Both claim to understand you. Only one quietly tests how much control they have over you. This is the game we are about to unmask. And the deeper we go, the more you will see how often empathy and manipulation wear the same face. Every mask eventually cracks, and this is where the empath and the dark empath finally part ways. The empath's crack comes from exhaustion. They may cry when they cannot carry another weight. They may stumble, apologize for needing space, and then return with the same open heart that nearly broke them. Their vulnerability is honest, raw, and messy. The dark empath's crack is far more subtle and far more dangerous. It comes not from carrying too much, but from their hunger for control being interrupted. You may notice it in a fleeting expression, a smirk when you are in pain, a coldness in their eyes when you turn away, or a word delivered with the precision of a knife disguised as comfort. Carl Jung observed that the most dangerous psychological mistake is the projection of the shadow on others. The dark empath thrives on this mistake. They draw out your trust and then slowly plant seeds of doubt. They may suggest maybe you're too sensitive, or whisper, "No one else understands you like I do." What sounds like reassurance is, in fact, isolation. The empath mirrors your joy to celebrate it. The dark empath mirrors your pain to chain you to them. And here's the paradox. It rarely feels like manipulation at first. Why? Because the dark empath's words often sound like love, like loyalty, like insight. They don't break you in one blow. They weaken your foundation over time. Picture this, a slow leak in the walls of your house. At first, nothing seems wrong. Then one day, the floor caves in beneath you. The empath struggles with boundaries. They give too much until they collapse. The dark empath exploits your lack of boundaries. They take just enough until you belong to them. This is why so many empaths doubt themselves when faced with a dark empath. They think, maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe they really do care, but deep down, their intuition knows. That flicker of unease, that knot in the stomach, those are the signals. Jung would call this your unconscious trying to warn you, whispering from behind the veil. Something is not what it seems. There is one of the simplest ways to tell the difference between an empath and a dark empath. It's not in what they say. It's not in the way they look at you. It's in how they respond when you set a boundary. A boundary is not an insult. It's not rejection. It's simply a line that protects your energy, your time, or your peace. And yet, when you draw that line, you discover a person's true intentions. Here's the test. You tell someone, I can talk for half an hour, but then I need rest. Or I'll help once, but then I want you to try yourself. Or I love you, but I can't fix this for you. Now watch carefully. A true empath may hesitate. They may feel the pull to keep giving, but then they soften. They nod. They say, thank you for telling me. Their care remains alive even inside your limits. A dark empath reacts differently. They push against a line. They use guilt, fear, or flattery to make you move it. I guess I won't bother you anymore. No one else understands me the way you do, after all I've done for you. What looks like care begins to feel like pressure. Boundaries reveal whether empathy is genuine or a tool for control. A healthy empath respects your no. A dark empath resists it, bends it, or tries to erase it. I imagine 3 scenes. Scene 1. You tell a friend, I'll be off my phone at 9. An empath says, no problem, thanks for the time. A dark empath sends 3 more messages after 9, each beginning with sorry to bother you, but ending with hooks designed to pull you back in. Scene 2. You tell a partner, I don't want to check your location whenever I feel anxious. An empath admits they feel scared but respects your choice. A dark empath sighs, "I guess you don't care about my safety." Your boundary is twisted into an attack. Scene 3. You tell a colleague, "I'll show you once, then I want you to try." An empath prepares to learn. A dark empath agrees but quickly adds, "Could you just do it this time too? And maybe next time." Their agreement dissolves into dependence. The pattern is clear. Empaths adapt. Dark empaths manipulate. But here's the deeper question. How do you react when someone sets a boundary with you? Do you feel anger that they aren't available? Do you feel panic that you'll be left alone? Do you feel the urge to bargain or push? These reactions don't make you bad. They make you human. But ignoring them can tilt your empathy into something darker. So how do you keep empathy clean? With 3 simple steps. Step 1, name the pull. Say quietly, "I want comfort. I want approval. I want control." Naming the urge gives you power over it. Step 2, ask the clean question. What helps both lives here? Not what calms me fastest, not what earns me the most points. What supports both of us? Step 3, act with honesty. Offer what you can without resentment, then return responsibility. I'll walk with you to the door, but you take the next step. This feels awkward at first. Old patterns tug hard. But soon, relief replaces guilt. You feel lighter, freer, more respected. The truth is simple. People who love you will adapt to your boundaries. People who only love your usefulness will not. And that difference saves you years of pain. Boundaries don't shrink empathy. They refine it. They stop you from flooding. They turn your care into a river with strong banks. And a river with banks can move mountains. Remember, how someone handles your no tells you more than 1,000 words ever could. Keep watching, because next we'll uncover how early wounds train empaths to overgive, and how to break free so your gift becomes a source of strength instead of exhaustion. From the very beginning, the seeds of who we become are planted in the soil of childhood. Some children grow up in homes where love is freely given, where mistakes are met with guidance rather than punishment, and where emotions are honored instead of shamed. These children learn that empathy is safe. They learn to recognize the feelings of others without losing themselves. Their empathy becomes a bridge for connection. But not all childhoods are so forgiving. Imagine a child who must tiptoe around an unpredictable parent. One day affection flows, the next day anger erupts. To survive, that child sharpens their sensitivity to the smallest cues, the tone of a voice, the twitch of an eyebrow, the shift in footsteps across the floor. This hyper-awareness is empathy born from fear. It becomes armor, a survival tool. Here the paths split. Some children, despite their pain, turn inward and cultivate compassion. They remember their suffering, and it softens them toward others. These are the empaths, carrying wounds but refusing to wound in return. Others, however, take a different road. They discover that by manipulating emotions, by mirroring back what others feel, they can control situations, avoid punishment, or even gain approval. This is the birth of the dark empath. Carl Jung would call this the dance of shadow. The empath faces the shadow by acknowledging it, feeling it, and seeking to heal. The dark empath denies the shadow, buries it, and lets it leak out through subtle control. Pause for a moment. Reflect on your own past. Were you the child who always tried to keep the peace? Did you learn to read emotions in order to protect yourself, or did you learn to use them to shape the world around you? The empath and the dark empath both start from the same wound. The difference lies in whether they choose healing or control. And this is where spotting the difference becomes crucial. The empath will often be drained because they are giving more than they receive. They carry fatigue, yet their eyes reveal softness. The dark empath, by contrast, may appear caring, but there's always a calculation. Their eyes scan like searchlights, looking not only at you, but through you, asking, "How can this serve me?" Jung's insight here is unsettling. We cannot escape our childhood wounds, but we can transform them. The dark empath refuses transformation. The empath seeks it, even if imperfectly. And so the question becomes personal. Which path are you walking? Are you exhausting yourself by carrying everyone's pain? Or are you wearing empathy like a mask, hiding wounds that secretly drive you to control? The mirror of childhood does not lie, but you must be brave enough to look into it. You have walked beside two versions of empathy. One lifts, one binds, both feel everything. Only one leaves people more themselves. It is time for the reveal, not a label for life, but a mirror for today. You do not need an online quiz. You need 3 tiny tests you can run in any conversation. Test 1. After you help, what grows? If the person in front of you grows clarity, courage, or responsibility, your empathy is clean. If dependency grows, more messages, more permission seeking, more fear when you step back, there is a string attached. Strings are not love. Strings are control-wearing kindness. Test 2. When you hear no, what moves inside you? If a boundary makes you grateful for honesty, your empathy is anchored. If a boundary makes you press, pout, or perform to get the yes back, you are not caring, you are managing. That tight feeling behind the ribs, the urge to send one more message, the rehearsed sigh, these are not proof that they are wrong. They are proof that you feel unsafe without control. Test 3. Silence. Sit with someone without offering a solution. If silence feels like presence, you trust their strength. If silence feels like panic, you do not. You were never meant to be the author of another person's life. At your best, you are a witness, a mirror, a steady hand on the railing while they climb. Now turn the lens inward for the decision that matters. Not empath or dark empath forever, human or human in training. Every day you will be invited to choose again. Choose to name the payoff, approval, safety, importance. When you name it, you can meet it directly. a call to a friend for your own support, a walk to calm your nervous system, a simple request for reassurance, instead of meeting it indirectly by managing someone else's life. Choose the sentence that protects two lives. I can give this much, and I trust you to take the next step. You do not need a speech. You need one clear line and a gentle face. Choose the practice that keeps your gift bright. One breath before you answer. One question before you advise. What would help you most right now? Then listen. If you are about to carry what is not yours, step back one pace and let the other person meet their own strength. There is a part of you that fears being unneeded. There is a part of you that fears being alone. Both parts are asking for care, not a job title. Hold them the way you hold others. Warm hand, clear voice. We are safe. We can stand here. We can wait. If you recognize the dark empath pattern in yourself, you do not have to perform shame. You have to perform honesty. Say out loud, even if only to yourself, I try to keep people close with my kindness. I can learn a better way. And if you recognize it in someone you love, you do not have to perform rescue. You have to perform reality. Here's what I can give. Here's what I will not give. I want connection, not control. If they can meet you there, the relationship heals. If they cannot, the relationship was a contract with your fear. This is not about becoming hard. It is about becoming true. You can be soft without leaking. You can be strong without closing. You can be sensitive without being steered. Before we close, run the 10-second check with me now. Hand on your chest. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Ask yourself quietly, am I helping to free or helping to hold? Wait for the first honest word. Trust it. What you admire in the wisest people is not that they feel less, it is that they feel fully and act cleanly. Their empathy does not flood, it flows, it has banks, it moves mountains. If today you discovered the strings in your kindness, that is not a failure, it is the first cut. Keep cutting the small knots, one boundary, one pause, one honest question at a time. You will notice something surprising. The people around you will either stand taller or step back. Either way, your life becomes clear. You are not here to manage every storm. You are here to become weatherproof, a steady barometer, a warm shelter, a light left on. Empathy is the warmth. Consciousness is the switch. Keep your hand on both. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a cleaner gift.